Hello, this is Heather Pate. I am the board chair for Jeremiah Foundation, Inc. Jeremiah Foundation, Inc. is a nonprofit 501c3 with two programs within it, InnerTouch Counseling and Robin's Hope. In particular, today in this video, we're going to talk about Robin's Hope, what its mission, vision, and values are, the concerns and complaints process, as well as performance strategies and impact for 2023 as of October 2023. So like I said, mission, vision, our values, our organizational chart, a little bit of a program timeline, concerns and complaints process, and key performance indicators. So our mission is to empower individuals to thrive through a safe, peer-run community that provides connection, inspires hope, and promotes resilience. Our vision is togetherness transforms trauma into thriving. So the values are, the first one is growth. Robin's Hope values managing growth to meet the changing need of the community, to expand services and provide hope to more individuals in need while assisting them in reaching their own recovery goals. Next is integrity. Robin's Hope values integrity. The board approves and the executive director implements policies that reflect best practices for a nonprofit and peer-run organization. The organization values fidelity to sound financial management of its resources and to open and transparent processes. Collaboration. Robin's Hope values diversity, equity, and inclusion and believes it is at the heart of collaboration. Robin's Hope values collaboration both within our program and with community resources. An appreciation and acceptance of a diverse range of lived experiences adds to a sense of true belonging within a safe community. Respect. Robin's Hope values showing respect in all interactions, recognizing that individuals have the right to choose their own path to recovery. At Robin's Hope, the voice of each individual is heard and peers lead the process. Empowerment. Robin's Hope values empowerment by crafting groups and services that celebrate strengths. Participants are encouraged to build resilience, choose their own pathway to recovery, and have an active role in shaping the program. To get started on our organizational structure, like I said, there is InnerTouch and Robin's Hope. Bear with the typo. It starts with the Jeremiah Board of Directors, then goes to the Executive Director. The Executive Director does report to the Board of Directors. And then with underneath the Executive Director is the InnerTouch Counseling and Robin's Hope Peer Support, or peer counseling as it's noted here. We also have the Jeremiah Foundation Administration, which is its own world, if you will. And well, I will explain that a little bit later. So our board structure, we have a chair, a vice chair. We have a policy committee with some board members, parliamentarian, treasurer, secretary, events committee with also a couple of board members. And then under the treasurer, we have a finance committee and a couple of board members there. So our org chart, over here on the orange is InnerTouch, the clinical director, clinical interns, licensed professionals, and unlicensed professionals. These stars indicate that we hired in those areas. Next, if we roll over to Robin's Hope in the yellow section, we have the Robin's Hope Program Director and Robin's Hope Operations and Training Director. The Operations and Training Director is someone who can provide PRS training and other various trainings to improve the development of peer specialists across the board. The Program Director has the virtual program, the in-person program, as well as if or when there may be an in-person Spanish program, which may or may not get its own program director. Underneath all of this, well, first off, there's a program lead for these 2 programs. And then underneath of those program leads are Robins Hope PRS interns and volunteers. So a little bit about our path. We started Jeremiah Foundation 2006. Intertouch Counseling developed later on. And then Robins Hope developed in 2018, June of 2018. We developed or were able to gather some funding support last year early in the year. And then we are working to continue to develop ongoing foundational development within our organization. Specific to Robins Hope, in June of 2018, we opened our first RISE group and trauma-informed yoga group. In October of 2018, we made sure that we were open on Mondays from 1 to 8 p.m. Moving to February 2020, excuse me, 2020, we opened 1 to 8 p.m. on Mondays and Wednesdays. Technically, we were open 1 to 8 on Mondays and 9 to 8 on Wednesdays. However, that was a challenge to withstand, and ultimately came back to the Mondays, Wednesdays, 1 to 8. March of 2020, the global pandemic hit, which forced us to go into the virtual world. And so April of 2020, we ended up with groups 5 days a week virtually. In June of 21, we had an in-person open house in our new facility, and we restarted the in-person groups. 2022, we received state ARPA funding. In May, we hired our first program director and office manager. In December, we started receiving mental health block grant funds. And then in May of 2023, we hired our first virtual and in-person program part-time lead. I hired our part-time virtual and in-person program leads. So the process of sharing a concern or complaint, first starting at members, participants, peers, a path to follow is to allow 5 business days for a response back. Obviously, extremely urgent matters can be handled potentially faster than that. But just keeping in mind that we also have, potentially people out or sick or conference or training or something is going on, which may slow the process, but our goal is to have a response back to you in 5 business days. To start, we have to speak up in our groups. When we see something or feel something's uncomfortable or inappropriate, it's important to share that in the space with the facilitator there, or to put in chat something specifically to the facilitator, letting them know that you're struggling with a particular issue that may have come up in that group. It may very well be a great healing opportunity for others in the group to see something worked out. And our hope is to reduce pressure that's sitting on you and feeling like your voice isn't being heard. This is a great opportunity to do that. Next might be to ask to speak with a facilitator after the group. Maybe you're feeling uncomfortable with speaking up in group, or it hit you later, or maybe it was something that you just feel more comfortable talking to the facilitator outside of group. Step 3 is talk to a program lead, one of our PRS virtual or in-person part-time program leads. And then talk with those identified on the guidelines. Our guidelines do indicate that people such as Michael, our program director, and Jennifer Keller, executive director, are 2 people you can also go to. Step 4, this is a great time to, actually step 3 is a really good time to start documenting this for your sake as well as for ours. It helps us to ensure that we do the best we can to meet the need, but also to make sure that we are responding appropriately and that we're responding in an appropriate way based on the request or the concern. Step 4, set up a meeting with the program director or express this concern via email or in writing. Again, this is where really the putting something to paper or to an email is really important, and making sure that you express that. And we then will begin to start the days of counting on that to make sure that people get a response in a timely way. Last, let's say you got to step 4 and still doesn't feel right and something is not being done. Then step 5, this is where we email the concern or request to the program director, the director of peer services, and or the executive director. This gives more input into the situation and allows us to have a little bit more in-depth conversation and find out a little bit more about the situation. And then make an assessment based on that as to whether or not we can do anything with that concern or not. So you can contact us. There's a contact list on our website for phone numbers and email addresses, or you can call us at 804-608-9389. 101 is Tracy, our office manager. I know she will be glad to help you, as well as any of the other extensions that are available on the contact list. Staff, interns, and volunteers. Again, same to start out with is that please allow 5 business days for a response back. Step 1, bringing it to a program leader. If you're the program leader, then bring it to the program director and make sure to document this at that time. If per se it's a specific concern or need, the best thing to do is document it and get it to that program director. If you're not getting anywhere with that, then please bring it to the director of peer services and report any follow-up added documentation, and we'll gladly review that. And then the last step, step 4, is bringing it to the executive director. This is a final response. However, please know that this concern or situation has been looked at several times, and with the whole perspective in place is making a decision that does become final. That doesn't mean that we do not care. It doesn't mean that we are unappreciative or that we don't want things to change. However, we do. We do want to see our organization grow, develop, and change, as well as the concerns that are brought to us and the situations involved. At some point, we have to have a final answer. And so that's where step 4 comes into play. Again, getting a contact list for phone numbers and email addresses, or calling 804-608-9389. So for the key strategies for 2023, these were items noted early at the end of 2022 to be measured for 2023. First step is that we identify it as more than 51% of our board with lived experience of mental health, substance use, or trauma. We are at 100%. Robin's Hope, to ensure diversity, equity, and inclusion in all areas of the organization. We had a complete diversity audit as of the end of last year, and increased 1 point, and we have completed another point or 2 as of today, 2023. So we're at 100%. Key strategies, let's see. The next one is diversifying groups in areas of greater potential need. That's looking at areas of need within our communities and identifying groups that are needed that will support and create a safe space for those that need to share or have a potential need for service. This second one is building respect, empowerment to participant members and volunteers, and that hasn't been measured yet. That is in a survey that is coming out. And then next is increasing capacity. We did increase our capacity at offering more than 34 groups a month on average. And let's see, average was 34 groups a month, including virtual and in-person. We had 9,913 opportunities for hope, healing, and connection. And we had an average of 130 participants in our groups each month, totaling out to be 1,102 individuals throughout the year. Make sure and collaborate with other behavioral health organizations. This would look like collaborating with Vocal Virginia, Sarah of Virginia Masters Center, Vocal, I think maybe I mentioned the state, Region 4 or other regions, other community service boards, mental health or behavioral health authorities, and other various community resources out there within our county, but also across the state. And we typically average about anywhere from 6 to 12 actually collaborations each month, which puts us typically in an average of between 7 and 9 total collaborations each over as an average for the month throughout the year. So the next one is diversifying and increasing our revenue for sustainability. The bottom line here is that we need to increase our public donations and corporate sponsors in order to gain stronger sustainability of our organization. The state has offered us and has provided us funding to become sustainable. However, we have a deadline on that, and we need to get to a place where we become sustainable as an organization, and that requires funding from various different places, diversification of the funding in which we receive, and make sure that we are doing due diligence in that area. Currently, we're pretty heavily grant funded, which isn't completely typical, isn't out of the ordinary. However, we'll need to put some extra focus on that in the coming year. Encouraging participants to donate as they're able. We utilize a donor management system called Humanitru, and it's through that system that we're able to track, and we'll be able to begin to identify a little bit better over the next year to 2 years how much our participants are able to support what we do, but not just our participants. This is just because our participants involved, they have a heavy connection to the work that we do. And, you know, if there's an opportunity to support Robin's Hope, whether it be an in-kind donation, support from a family or friend, or connecting somebody that you know that may have some key tools or skills, that is always valuable. Conducting 2 fundraisers a year. We currently have conducted the Resilience Family Field Day and Westchester Concert. And by the time you receive this recording, we will be just at completing our gala or just past it, or it's complete. So that will turn to 100%. Increasing our employee and volunteer base, we have met that goal. And as of today, there are, I think, listed 29 interns. We had a goal of 34, and we will likely go beyond that goal for 2023. Building corporate relationships, that's an ongoing development, and also ongoing the development that supports our financial support. Robins Hope will grow the PRS workforce, offering training, mentoring, and internship opportunities, encouraging interns to get certified and share the opportunity to be an intern. And so this is a part of a state requirement that we have a 10% increase in peer certifications year over year. And we are currently struggling with that a little bit, but there's not a whole lot of incentive when people aren't getting paid. And so our first objective is to make sure that we can get people paid through their internships and even get them employed, as well as making sure that we're providing adequate pay for our staff and employees as well. Currently, to date, we have 7,502 opportunities for hope, healing, and connection. This measurement is done every time somebody comes into our space, whether it be virtual or in person, and receives a service, a group, an individual peer support, maybe even attended one of our events. And that is where that number develops. It's projected to be about 9,913 for 2023 by the end of 2023. Our goal as of 2022 for this year was 9,676, and it is possible we may reach up to over 10,000 opportunities for hope, healing, and connection. And so this line or this graph here shows you the green line is the process in which we have been growing, and the brown line is the just the expected goal for the previous year and into the next year. So why we do what we do, what it takes to get there. So if I'm an individual that's having a hard time and I feel very overwhelmed and feel like I need to get out of my space to address what's going on, and I'm feeling a bit unwell, and I go to the hospital for mental health support. They end up putting me in the hospital, say they only hold me one night for a psych eval. They do a little psychiatric evaluation and find that the hospital really isn't necessary and send me home. That's one night in a behavioral health service hospital, and that can cost up to $2,000 a night. So say I stayed over 2 nights, then you're looking at $4,000 total easily. State hospitals tend to go a little bit further lower in price at $1,000, but just to give you a general idea with some very basic estimates, we're looking at $2,000 a night. And based on the number of people and opportunities of hope, healing, and connection that we have offered, and the amount of money that it's going to cost us to really become sustainable and press forward year after year, it's $550,000. This offers us a great deal of resources, brings our employees up to appropriate pay, helps us cover rent, and allows for a few more employees to help address the needs in the community and the work that we do to serve the community. And if you look at it here, You can see the projection. It'll cost $55 per opportunity for Hope, Healing, and Connection, which could cost up to $660 annually. So let's put that in perspective. I end up in the hospital for 2 nights that cost $4,000, or I have community support that carries me through the difficulties. I get to see that I can move through those difficulties with that support. And now it only costs $660 for the entire year rather than $2,000 a night. And then finally, recognizing that the peer support pay rates are nowhere where they need to be. And that still impacts our ability to pay our staff to where we'd like them to be. But again, sustainability plays a big part of that. And as we develop and we increase that public support and corporate support, we then begin to develop that sustainability. And then we can look at increasing pay and other bringing on new people in order to staff our program. I do want to say that the staff that works at Robin's Hope works really hard, and we have been trying to catch up with the speed of this organization for the last few years, and that takes a great deal of effort. We are unable to reduce the impact of what it costs to see our organization grow. And yet we are also very grateful for the amount of time and effort that people have shared in order to see this happen. And that each person involved in that really makes a difference for individuals in need of services. And finally, just want to thank you for listening to this whole video. Recognizing I'm the board chair, Jennifer Kell is the executive director, Michael is the program director. We have an office manager, it's Tracy Crow, Griffin Kennan as the in-person program lead, Wendy Bundy as the virtual program lead, and then along with our board, our vice chair position is currently vacant. Kay Springfield as secretary, Tamika Good, treasurer, Nina Beeman is our parliamentarian, and board members Monica Hunter, Juan Hardy, Angie DeBoard, and Lydia Orr. We are always in need of support and skills in areas like information technology, security, IT security, but also IT management. We're also looking for legal services to support what we do, but also maybe an advocate that has some legal experience on our board. We're looking for a desire to build a development director, maybe even a volunteer committee, and just continue to fill the committees that we have. You do not have to join the board in order to be a part of a committee. And all you need to do is reach out to me, Heather Pate, as the board chair, and I'll happily direct you to either the committee chairs or the appropriate person within staff to help support you in that next step. Thank you very much.